Morning, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? We're getting close to $4,000 gold. All right. So, where should we start? Well, we can look at the Jacksonville game. And our first question is always, was it fixed? It looked like it was. Pass interference. The problem with the refs, it's irrelevant if it's a penalty. The problem with the refs, they shouldn't be making the call based on the time of the game. Well, Mahomes throws a 100-yard pick six. When is the last time Mahomes threw a 100-yard pick six? Jacksonville showed me nothing. Trevor Lawrence running a lot, which is what he did at Clemson, which is all he can do. He's a terrible quarterback, as we know. I'm surprised KC was fooled by it. And it looks like what Jacksonville is doing is the Lincoln Riley offense. We take three fast receivers and just send them deep, and then the quarterback runs. That's what he did with Jalen Hurts. That's why Jalen Hurts sucks. He's not a really good quarterback. He's a runner. So it looks like the new schemes in the NFL, and I assume what Indianapolis is doing also is just spreading the field, sending guys deep, and then letting the quarterback run, because Daniel Jones isn't doing anything. So, bad game. I split on it. I had Kansas City +3, and I had +2.5. So sometimes you want to get to 3. I'm shocked. I mean, KC's up 14-0. I've never seen him blow a 14-0 lead to a team like Jacksonville. And then he throws the pick six. Then they score at the end and take the lead by 4. And Jacksonville, they get a shit kickoff at the 40. What is that? So I don't know what's really going on. I think the league right now sucks. The teams are just really, really bad. I mean, Buffalo loses to New England. It was very similar, where it's Drake May just scrambling to the right and throwing to the right. He had one receiver, and Buffalo can't figure it out, and Buffalo can't blitz to the right and not let him roll to the right. Maybe make him roll to the left, or have a safety there and then stopping him. Very bad coaching. You have a lot of bad coaching and really not that good of players, not smart players. You got to recognize what's going on. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Who are your top 5 quarterbacks in the league? Oh, we'll get into that in a minute. So let's see. So doing our thing, gold 39.82. We are very close. Notice at 10 o'clock it went up, because just before 10 it went down. So that's always the signal at 9:45 at 5 to 10. If it's dropping, the U.S. will buy. If it's going up, the U.S. will sell a little bit. So this is 39.82. We're this close to 4,000. Silver 38.05. I'm kind of like, why is it still at 38? Why at 48? Why isn't it? Why didn't it hit 55 by now? So, not worried about silver. And gold looks like 4,000, and then it's just going to keep going. You have to own gold at whatever price. The key is owning gold, because it's safety, it's freedom. It's just going to keep going. especially now the demand's going to be huge because who wants to be in dollars? So that's where you're at. Anyway, 39.80. We'll see if it breaks 4,000 during class. 48.08 silver. Well, 48.15. So silver's jumping at 10-cent intervals for some reason. All right. So let's look at the pro results. So I updated my trends. And so again, it was 31.28 Jacksonville, which was ridiculous. I mean, Mahomes basically sat there and did whatever he wanted all game. I don't see Jacksonville with this great defense. So it's not like their defense is great. Like I said, I think they're just spreading the field and running Trevor Lawrence and Etnine, and that's it. He doesn't throw. His 3 touchdowns were running touchdowns, which, again, I was surprised Jacksonville didn't just blitz him and take him away. I know Spagnuolo is pretty good at that. Anyway, the team's off of a lot. Well, I've updated. So let's look at the updated. I was just doing my stats. If I can find them. All right, so here's what the new card looks like. Oh, I haven't put it on the sheet yet. Okay, I got to update this. I put it in my thing. So let me go there for a minute. So what I do is I grade the teams. If you leave a comment, I'll get to it in a minute. So here's the grade. Indianapolis, an A team, 18 defense, 33 offense. I won't go through all that. Detroit's an A, scoring 35, giving up 22. Houston is an under, a 12 defense. Seattle is an A, 29-21. Buffalo is an A, 31-23. Washington's a B, 27-20. Denver's a B, 23-17. Jacksonville's an E, 25-20. Minnesota is an under, 25-19, because when I look at the 25, it's Carson Wentz or whoever. Green Bay's a B, 26-21. New England's a B, 25-20. KC's a B, 25-21. The Rams, 25-21, a B. Philadelphia, B, 25-22. Frisco, an under, 21-20. Arizona, an under, 21-19. The first number is the offense. Second number is the defense. Tampa Bay's an over, 27-26. San Diego, an under, 20-20. Pittsburgh, an even team, 24-25. Dallas, an over team, 30-31. Atlanta, an under team, 19-22. Carolina, an under team, 20-24. Chicago, an over team, 25-29. Baltimore, an over team, 28-35. Their problems, their defense just blows. Now, yes, they played Buffalo and they played Detroit. And they played Kansas City. You played Houston and give up 44. It's a problem. Miami's a W team, 21-29. The Giants, a W, 17-25. New Orleans, a Z team, 18-27. Even though they win, they're still a Z team. The Jets, a W, 22-31. Cleveland's a Z, 15-25. Oakland's a W, 17-28. Tennessee, a Z, 15-28. And Cincy, a Z, 17-31. So when we look at quarterbacks, I mean, the top ones, Jared Goff is 12-2. I don't think he's the best quarterback. If we're just looking at like the stats, he'd be up there. But if we really just who's our best quarterback, it's Stafford's right up there, Baker's right up there, Josh Allen, okay, he's 9-2. Darnold's playing well. Aaron Rodgers got to be up there. Bo Nix is pretty good. Let's see, Mahomes, of course. And that's about it. Carson Wentz, 5 touchdowns. How's he throwing 5 touchdowns? Right? Fields 4-0. Daniels has got to be up there too. Yeah, because he missed the game, and this is by touchdowns, so he's only thrown 4 touchdowns. So that's our thing. Lamar does not go onto my list. Best quarter, it's the usual suspect, but I'm not about to put, Jackson Dart 3-2. See, this is the problem. Jake Browning, since he's 6-8. You got Fields 4-0, Rodgers 8-3, Carson Wentz 5-2. Drake May 7-2, Caleb 8-2, Lawrence 6-5. That's why Lawrence isn't a good quarterback. Jordan Love's 8-1. I'd say Baker. You got to give Golf something, but he throws a lot of bad passes, a lot of bad misses lately. So he's not, my top 5, probably Penix and let's see, top 5. We'll go Josh Allen. We'll go the Baker. We go Daniels. We go Mahomes. And we go Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Bo Nix. Something like that. Penix, of course. That's how I view it. It's who do I bet on? I look at it totally different. It's who do I bet on? Who am I going to bet on? I think teams should do more running plays and play action plays in the red zone. Yeah. Well, you can't really pass in the red zone. There's no room. The defense has nowhere to worry about. You can't run past them. It closes out. You have to run or play action. Dave Casper plays. It's really the only way. You cannot try to throw. There's just nothing there. That's why the interference was bullshit yesterday on Kansas City at the end of the game. I mean, what a joke. What a bad penalty. A lot of the problems with the referees, is there a penalty, is there not, isn't really the question. Is you're bailing them out and you're throwing the game because you're calling interference on 4th and 10. That's a bailout. You can't call that. You got to let them play. You can't bail them out with an interference, especially when it wasn't even close to interference or the holding penalty. Or KC Cincinnati last year when Cincinnati's got them and it's 4th and 11 and Mahomes is going back and they call pass interference, I believe, on Cincinnati. It's like it's 4th and 20. You can't call pass interference. You can't bail out the other team. They must make the play. And they're just throwing it up, hoping for the interference call. The refs are not doing their jobs. They must look at the what's going on in the game. Hey, Titus. Good morning. So anyway, I burnt my pita. I started getting into my stats and I forget about it. I do that a lot, but I don't care. It tastes fine. So that's your new trends. And it's what do you do with Indy and what do you do with Jackson? Are they really this good? No. I think they changed coaches and offensive coordinators. So it's a new look. How Kansas City blows a 14-0 lead yesterday, I don't ever recall Mahomes blowing a 14-0 lead. That was great. Well, I mean, it was the 98-yard interception return. What is that? I've never seen Mahomes do that either. I saw Kurt Warner do it in the Super Bowl, but I never seen it. Mahomes do it. All right, so let's look at next week in the NFL. So we have Philly 7.5, 41 to the Giants on Thursday night. We've got a London game Sunday morning, Denver 7:43.5 to the Jets's. We've got the Rams 7.5, 45 to Baltimore at Baltimore. That's a game you got to wait and see who's injured or not. Are the Rams going to blow them out? I think Baltimore's done. I just think they got beat by better teams, and they're done. Houston puts a 44 on them. They're toast. Jacksonville 1.5, 46.5 over Seattle. In Jacksonville, we got Dallas 3.5, 49 over Carolina. I mean, look how quickly Dallas is now favored. They should score points in this game. So the over, I think Dallas is just an over. They got good scoring and no defense. And they also have a new offensive coordinator. So the teams that are doing something this year, Indy, Jacksonville, Dallas, have a new offensive coordinator. And the teams have to understand what's going on with these teams because these are teams with no offense usually. And even without CeeDee Lamb, Dallas is lighting it up. So we got to keep an eye on that. Pitt 538.5 to Cleveland. This is up from 37 yesterday. Cleveland going with Dylan Gabriel. Pitt with Rodgers. We'll have to see. Really, Pitt's defense they've had 3 guys injured. So when they should get them back here, and then we'll see if they start playing Pitt defense. Right now, they're not. New England beats Buffalo. Now they're 3.5, 46 to at New Orleans. And I hardly think New England's a team that can go on the road and win, even against New Orleans. San Diego 4.5, 43.5 to Miami. This is down from 6. Now, San Diego, both their offensive tackles are out. And I don't know. And they got Harbaugh with his head up his ass. Both Harbaughs have their head up their asses. Miami, I don't know. They stink. But San Diego, they got to go 10 a.m. game for them. Cross country. So I don't know. Indy 6.5, 47.5 to Arizona. I did see that replay of the game, and it wasn't a fumble per se because the guy was hot dogging it. The guy picks the ball, and then he's trying to run, and he slips. And I think he kicks the ball. I think he ended up kicking the ball with his feet because he was stumbling. So it wasn't like he was in the end zone hot dogging it. He legitimately picked it off, and then it gets kicked into the end zone by another guy. and recovered by Tennessee. I mean, it was really a fluky play. But it was, it was really weird. But Cam Ward threw an interception on the play. That's all I can say. So Indy 6, we'll see what Arizona's like. Kyler Murray never seems to do anything. He makes a 20-yard run, which is what they always show Kyler Murray running in the game, or he ran for a touchdown. No throws. It's just, I like the black helmets. I thought that was cool, but they don't. He doesn't have a consistent game. Marvin Harrison's terrible. So he doesn't really have good receivers to throw to, but I don't think he's got the offense either. Oakland 541 to Tennessee. Now, I don't know that Oakland's 5 points better than Tennessee. Tennessee's terrible. Oakland is not great. Can we rely on Oakland as a favorite? Okay, Oakland win the game. I don't see how. I can't take Tennessee in 11. This will probably be an under game with Tennessee with no offense and a pretty good defense. Tampa 347.5. Tampa looks like a very good team. Probably one or two. There's Philly, there's Tampa, there's Washington, and maybe the Rams. Those are your top teams. Then Detroit's the next shelf lower. Detroit has no defense, and they keep getting guys injured on all the secondary people, just like last year. I don't know what it is. They get guys that get injured. I mean, it's ridiculous. Let's see. So we got Green Bay 14.5, 44 to Cincinnati. I totally do not understand this line. Okay. Detroit was beating them pretty good. And then Cincinnati found it. And Browning started hitting Jamar Chase. Let's not forget Jamar Chase is still on Cincinnati, even though Burrow is hurt. Is Green Bay really going to stop this like that? I know they got Micah Parsons, but he didn't show up against Dallas. They played a 40-40 game with Dallas. So I think this number is very high. My line's 7. So to quote that gambler we watched yesterday, where he says, if my number is different than the line, which how can it not be it has to be different. The line is getting the betting even, right? So if we go back to being a bookie, if I get $100 on team A and $100 on team B, I'm going to win $10 because somebody's going to lose and pay juice. So it's really 110 versus 110. I'm going to pay out 100. I'm going to get in 110. I win $10. So I'm going to make the line where I get the even betting, not the line that says the game's even. And so in this instance, this is to make you bet Cincinnati, Green Bay minus 14. This does not in any way make the game even. The Green Bay game I watched the last 2 weeks with Dallas and Chicago, or Dallas, I don't know, they lost 2 of them. They look pretty bad, Green Bay. So part of it is you still have that Lion win week 1. And now the Lions are a little different in week 6 than they were in week 1 as Green Bay. But your thought is still, wow, look what Green Bay did to Detroit. And, now you've seen Micah Parsons. You can probably defend him a little bit better. I mean, Green Bay, Dallas didn't shut out everybody with Micah Parsons. They lost a lot of games. All right. Kansas City. This line keeps moving. First, I saw KC favored. Then I saw Detroit favored, which I got excited that we get Mahomes as a home dog. And now I got here KC minus 2 and 51. Now the total's gone up, as it should. This should be an over game. Detroit, very strong offense, no defense. Kansas City, you're giving up 31 points. Now, golf won't run like Lawrence did, but golf can throw. Kansas City, I don't know. They're struggling defensively. Kelsey still got his head up his ass. I saw him make one catch yesterday. He's pretty pathetic. I think this whole wedding to Swift is a big distraction and should never be going on now. He's got to play football. That's what he gets paid for. You're there to win Super Bowls, not to. You want to marry this girl? You got my blessing, but do it in the off season. Just the way it is. I never heard of like Mahomes or Brady or anybody getting married during the season, especially to a big music person. All right. Buffalo 48.5 to Atlanta. Atlanta's a very live dog here. If their edge rushers can play well, my guy from Georgia and the guy from Tennessee, they'll shut down Josh Allen because they're really fast. They're faster than Josh Allen. And the way Buffalo looks, you couldn't figure out. Drake May rolls to the right 30 plays in a row, throws the ball on the sidelines 30 plays in a row, and you're sitting there with your thumb up your ass, Buffalo. Jesus. In our last game, Washington 4.5 and 50 to the Bears in the wonderful world of Caleb. So Penix just ran it down San Diego's throat. They'll do the same here. Washington's much better than they. See, here's where you'll see Daniels and Caleb, and it's two different receivers. So far, teaser trends, I've just went through the big ones. Again, I can't do it before today because I want to get the Monday night stats in there. So teams 85% or more. Tampa Bay for the last 2 years, but mostly 24 and 24 and the first 5 weeks. Tampa Bay, Washington, Jacksonville, Indy, Houston, Denver, Minnesota, and the Rams. Play against the JETSs, Miami, Pitt, Cincy, Arizona, Philly, Indy, and Tennessee. So Indy and Tennessee they were bad last year. Indy's not. Jacksonville's getting better. So you can see the method to my madness. I start picking up the changes. We've got, Houston's been good last year and Denver. Indy and Jacksonville, you start picking up. Washington was good last year. Minnie and the Rams. So you start making the change. We don't bias Indy and Jacksonville. We look at them and we notice them and we wonder, are they that good? They beat KC, but that was kind of a fluke. I mean, you needed a 100-yard return. The quarterback runs for 3 touchdowns, not passes for 3. So I don't buy Jacksonville. Indy maybe, but, again, you've got to wipe your slate clean with Daniel Jones. Yes, he sucked on the Giants, but they didn't know what they were doing. And you can see they still don't know what they're doing with Jackson Dart. They don't know. The coach will be gone because he's, maybe Daniel Jones wasn't too bad. Look at him in Indianapolis. So you really are trying to differentiate. Is Dart any good, but he's under the ball? Was Daniel Jones really that bad? But look at him now. Look at Darnold. He was at the Jets. Now he looks like a quarterback almost. Minnesota probably sorry they let him go for J.J. McCarthy, who fakes an injury so he can, because he's so bad. They don't want to admit they're wrong, right? So he'll be injured for 5 years. Okay, your contract's up. See you later. See you at the grocery store. because they don't want to admit they fucked up and they drafted him in the first round. They had no business drafting that guy. Told you he sucked. So that's what you're looking at. So you've got to have, well, Darnell's good now, so we can bet on him. Not he sucked on the Jets, and the same thing, Daniel Jones, and the same thing. Trevor Lawrence still sucks. He didn't get any better. I don't know why they drafted the receiver from Colorado. That was such. With the third pick in the draft, you're taking your wide receiver, and he's the third wide receiver on your team. You've got the guy from LSU, Thomas. You got another guy I saw. Lawrence couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with him anyway. Like they show a big highlight. Oh, he threw one pass to the guy. So this is what we have to adjust to. Philly's struggling a little. KC's struggling a little. Baltimore looks like a MAC team. I mean, they're terrible. So you can't blindly we're going to take Baltimore. No, they're not. They're injured. Lamar is not good anyway. So if we go through the teams, Philly's kind of the Giants are really bad. Denver's, we know they're getting better. The Jets's are terrible. They're not going to win with Fields. The Rams are good. Baltimore, just stay away from. They gave up 44 to Houston. It would take them a month to give up 44 before. You can't ignore that, and you can't blame the injuries. It's the coach. Seattle looks like, Seattle, Jacksonville. I don't know. I guess it ends Jacksonville -3, but Seattle's a live dog here, I think. Dallas, Carolina. Now Carolina still sucks, but now we see Dallas without CeeDee Lamb, and they're still, their offense is better. They've changed coaches, so maybe this coach. So it's the teams with the changed coaches, Indy and Dallas and Jacksonville, that are winning now, but I'm not sure how long it's sustainable for. Carolina still sucks. Steve Young. Cleveland, they've gone to Dylan Gabriel. Now let's see how that works. Now I'm very high on Dylan Gabriel. He looked very good at Oregon, and so I'm not, I think Cleveland has a better chance with Gabe. God forbid they went to Prime Junior. Jesus. Going to Prime Junior would have been a disaster. I love the comment. He says, I'm better than a lot of these quarterbacks and these other teams. Oh, yeah, Prime, you're so good you can't even start playing your own team. Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers, they're going to be better when they get their defense back. You got Aaron Rodgers and you got DK Metcalf. You've got to have a better team. You've got more skill, more talent. Rodgers is playing well. So look for Pitt. Look for Pitt to win the division. Burrow's out. Baltimore can't win. And there's Cleveland. So here's a perfect example for Pitt-Cleveland. But I think this will be a close game because you have that. Now, the problem is they just flew to London, and now they got to fly home. I mean, it's just it's insane. They should have the bye week to get rested from it. New England, are they that good? Not with Drake May. He runs to the right, and then he's got one receiver, and he throws it to him, and the guy's making circus catches on the sidelines. It's just a joke. It's really a joke. So where am I at? New Orleans, Rattlers. He's bad. Can he get better? I don't know. He was good in high school. That's why he went to Oklahoma, but he sucked there. And if you can't quarterback for Lincoln Riley, I don't know what to say. That's like Miller Moss on Louisville was from Lincoln Riley, and he sucks. So hard to say. So I don't know how bad New Orleans is. It's weird. They have they got Kellen Moore as coach now, but they got Olave and they got Kamara and they got Rashad Shalim, another receiver. They have talent at New Orleans. You just don't have a quarterback. But I think Kellen Moore will put in better routes. I think they'll be better than absolute terrible. San Diego, Harbaugh's got his head up his ass again, losing last week to what was that? Washington beat them 27-10. And they just ran the ball down their throat, Washington. I mean, Daniels didn't do all that much. So we think they have a good defense, but they lost Boza. I mean, that can't be smart. They don't really have a running attack, and Herbert throws too many interceptions. So they're you think they're better than they are. They go to Miami, which is going to be a tough one. Miami, Darius going wild. They got to go all the way to Miami, which can't be easy. And Miami's got nothing. Their coach sucks. Tagg's terrible. Tyreek Hill's out. But it's a hard one because San Diego's got that travel. And I think it's a 1 p.m. game. Indy against Arizona. Indy is looking good. Arizona looks like shit. I mean, you got to realize they beat Carolina and New Orleans. They haven't beaten anybody. They totally fell apart against Tennessee and other but even if they hadn't, they weren't really blowing out Tennessee. I mean, it was what, 21-12 when that fumble happened. So it's not like they're only up 9 and that made it 2 and then they lost. So it's not like they had the game in control. It was like 21-3 or something, but still against Tennessee, they should have been in the 30s. Tennessee, they're very bad. Cam Ward's not very good. Again, in that play, he threw an interception. He didn't throw the touchdown to win. He threw an interception that got fumbled into the end zone, and it was a touchdown. He didn't do anything. He's very weak. Oakland, I don't know. Geno Smith, he's terrible. And you really need to just run Army-Navy. I would just go to the wishbone and just run Gentry 35 times a game. I know you got Chip Kelly, but Geno Smith can't handle your plays. So start running the ball 50 times a game. Max Crosby, of course, is great. San Francisco, I don't know. Too many injuries. Miracle beating the Rams. Tampa's much better, I think, and the Niners have to travel to Tampa. Here's where we get the advantage of the West Coast coming. Since he looked a little bit better, as I said, they were getting pounded by Detroit. He throws a completion, and he throws a touchdown to Chase. He throws another touchdown. So I think the quarterback is getting, what the fuck's his name? Browning. I think Browning is starting to get it. Not that they're a good team, but we know they have offense with Chase and T. Higgins and things like that. The coach, I think, is terrible. Zach Taylor. What is he doing there? He got lucky. He took him to the Super Bowl, or I should say Joe Burrow took him to the Super Bowl. And so he's there, but I don't know. I'm not buying it. But I don't think they're 14 points less than Green Bay. And I'm not buying Green Bay. Okay, they beat the Lions, and then they fell apart. And you're like, now they get the bye. I really don't like their coach. He really fucked up against Dallas. And their kicker obviously can't make a kick. So I don't know about this. 14 is way too high. You can't play it. Detroit looks good offensively. Defensively, they have questions. They let Cincy go up and down the field on them in the third and fourth quarter and couldn't wrap up the game. They finally wrapped it up with the safety with about 2-3 minutes left, but Detroit didn't have a dominant defense. Their offense had moments and then had moments where they couldn't do anything against Cincy. They gave up a lot of sacks. The left tackle was out, the guy from Ohio State. So we'll see. And they don't move the right tackle to left tackle, even though he's supposedly so good, which I doubt because he's just playing right tackle. So he doesn't play the best pass rushers. They're all on the left side. So I think they're making him look, it's like the Tigers. The pitcher comes in to pitch to the 7, 8, 9 hitters. Hey, look at his ERA. Yeah, he only faces the 7, 8, 9 hitters. Kansas City, we know Kansas City. They moved the ball all over the place yesterday on Jacksonville. It's the 99-yard pass interception. I mean, that was basically the game. And Lawrence just ran because nobody was open and he can't throw anyway. So I'm not worried about KC. Buffalo, again, weak defense. And Josh Allen, so they're probably an over team. Atlanta with Penix, we got to see more, but I think this would be a big game for Penix. He's very good. Their defensive guys they added. So let's see. They need a coach. The Bears, Rob Johnson, their coach, Ben Johnson, whatever his name is. Decent offense, terrible defense. So they're probably a good over bet. And here with Washington, with Daniels, he's the stud, and you got to respect him. So that's kind of your rankings. Best teams: Philly, Denver, the Rams, Seattle's up there, Pitt's up there, Tampa, Green Bay, I think, Detroit, Kansas City, Buffalo, Buffalo, Atlanta, and Washington. So they're all, stacked right now. We're not going to be sold on Jacksonville and Indy for a while just because the quarterbacks aren't really good, and we know they're not really good. So what are we going to do with them? So most of the spreads are normal except Green Bay. That's way too high. 14 and 44. I don't know. Micah Parsons is good, but what was that last score, Green Bay? Oh, yeah, they played Dallas. It was 40-40. Okay, Dallas with Prescott, and you got Cincy. Okay, initially it's no Joe Burrow, but the way Browning played, yeah, that's okay. All right, let's look at college. And we want to look at just the big games, I think, right now. There's too many games. I can't handle it. All right, I've graded everything. So, Wednesday, Middle Tennessee and Missouri State. Middle Tennessee's a Z. Missouri State's a W. We got Missouri State 2.5, 51.5, and both have 31 defenses. Question is, can Middle Tennessee score? Do we get an over game? That's the problem with the Z teams. These first games, Wednesday, Thursday, are a lot of Conference USA teams, probably the whole conference. And they're really hard to bet because they're so bad that you don't really know what to do with them. Liberty, an under team against UTEP. Liberty, 2.5, 47.5. We've got, we don't have a line on Kennesaw State L Tech for some reason. We got a total 45. L Tech's a B team. Kennesaw State's an under team. East Car, Tulane. Now, here's a good game Thursday. East Car, the A team, 13 defense. Tulane is an E team now. They're favored by 7 and 54. East Car's got a 13 defense. Hauser's their quarterback. And Tulane, they're a good team, but they got a 24 defense. I think East Car's a live dog here. Getting 7, I think, is a little high. Now, again, it's Thursday night, which I really hate these Thursday night, Friday night games. I just want to stay to Saturday where the teams are comfortable. Jacksonville State, 8-55 to Sam Houston. Sam Houston's a Z team. Southern Miss, Georgia Southern, both are over teams. Southern Miss 3-60. Real good quarterback who was at Marshall. He's like 14 touchdowns and 2 picks. on Southern Miss. Look for Southern Miss to start playing now with the Marshall team. All right. Friday, South Florida, North Texas. Good A teams, good strong teams. South Florida is at North Texas, favored by 1 in 67. And I could see why it's 67. This will be a bomb game. A lot of scoring in this one. It's a high number, though. But Rutgers or Washington. Washington's an A team. Rutgers an over team. This is not the normal Rutgers. You run it for 2 yards, and we have a great defense. This is a Rutgers team that does not have a great defense. Iowa lit them up at Rutgers. Washington, the A team, good quarterback. Lane 10 and 59.5. Rutgers has to travel across country. Let's see. I assume Stanford SMU's midnight because it doesn't make sense that this game would be big noon. Maybe it's the new game. I don't know yet. But SMU is laying 20 and 55. Stanford, terrible team. All right, let's go for let's look at the Z teams. Miami of Ohio, Akron. Akron's a Z team with a 30 defense. This game is Miami, Ohio, 10 and 45. Miami of Ohio, an E team, not a bad team. Akron's a Z. UCLA goes to Michigan State. Michigan State's an over team. They're scoring, and their defense isn't there. And UCLA, I don't know what to think right now. I think you've switched to Neuheisel, your junior, the offensive coordinator. Maybe he knows what he's doing because he did it against Penn State. Here he goes to Michigan State. Now, UCLA has got to be emotionally drained at this point. It's a Saturday game. I think it's a noon game, which is going to fuck up UCLA traveling West Coast time. So it's a game you probably leave alone, but I think UCLA, if they play like this, can easily beat Michigan State. 7.5, 55.5. Maybe it's an over. UCLA certainly could score on Penn State, can certainly score on Michigan State. You know, it's how much does it affect the team? At what point does the team sit there and go, you know what? Yeah, we just beat Penn State. Yeah, let's just go on our laurels. But this is a team that hadn't won all year. I don't know that they're going to be flat this week. They're going to go, hey, yeah, let's keep it going. So I think they'll play pretty good. Ohio State, Illinois. Ohio State 17 and 50. You're not scoring on Ohio State. I mean, what a killer defense they have. With Matt Patricia yet as their defensive coordinator. Unbelievable. Illinois is a good team. Not the Indiana one, but the one that beat USC. But this is a different animal. You're playing a 5 defense. You are not scoring on this 5 defense, Luke Altmaier. Very little. Washington could only get 6 points, and they got a better offense than you do, Illinois. Yeah, I mean, 17 and 50. We've been betting Ohio State under. That was our lock last week, Ohio State under, and it won. Could be another under, 50 to 56. Ohio State, I mean, they're just too tough. The quarterback looks good. That wide receiver who's like in high school, so they've got talent. I don't see them flat here. I don't see Illinois really with much of a chance. Houston gets Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's a Z team. They're suck. Coach is gone. Their quarterback's a freshman. He does nothing. Houston, I don't know. They score a little, but they lost. They barely beat Oregon. Excuse me. They barely beat Oregon State, who's a Z team. So I don't know here. Houston, they're not playing well. Willie Fritz is a good coach. Okay, big game. Alabama, Missouri. Alabama, they're both A teams. Alabama 3, 53.5. 16 defense, Missouri with the 14. Missouri hasn't played anybody. They played two teams. South Carolina, they won 29-20, and they played my Kansas team, which basically they were going to win 35-31. They were going to win by 4, and then they're just running out the clock, and the guy goes for 75 yards. And not smart enough to take a knee at the 1 or at the 5 and just down the ball 3 times. So they win 42-31, but it's really misleading. So can Missouri, they still gave up 31 to Kansas and 20 to South Carolina. So this is not, even though it says 14 defense, it's when they played the Valparaisos and the Villanovas and stuff. I have a feeling Alabama's good here. Only laying 3. I think that line's a little bit low. Alabama should probably be a 7 here. Missouri, are they that good? They have a good quarterback, but I don't know. They only beat UMass 42-6 instead of 60. Yeah, very, very interesting game. I think Alabama, the way they're playing, wins this game. Let's see. Cincinnati, UCF. Cincinnati's coming on. They beat my Kansas team, and then they won last week over Iowa State. Here they get UCF. They get them at home. UCF's not that good. And I think we can go on to Cincinnati now, and I think we've seen. Yeah, I think we can win with them. Pitt goes to Florida State. They're both A teams. They're both 20 defenses. Florida State's 10-58. Pitt's an explosive team, good quarterback. Florida State, they get exposed by Miami a little bit. So now they're off the loss to Miami. Look for them to be explosive at home. Pitt, I don't know. Again, they played West Virginia and lost, and then they had a good win last week. But Florida State's much better here. Charlotte, a Z team, playing the Army. Army 17-47. So Charlotte's a Z. Let's see. UMass plays Kent. They're both Z teams. What can I say? Kent -3, 49, and the game's at Kent. So Kent probably beats UMass because they're at home. Old D, my team, they're an A team. Very good team. 14 defense. Old D's 14-54, and the game's at Marshall. Look for Old D here. Notre Dame gets NC State. Notre Dame, a B team, 23 defense. So they were an over team, but their defense played well against Boise with 5 picks. So maybe they're getting better defensively. Hard to say. But NC State's, they're an over team with the 25 defense, but I don't buy their high scoring team. Going to bother Notre Dame here. So Notre Dame -22 is about right. They'll get the win. Okay, your free play, Oklahoma, Texas. Oklahoma, an A team, but the quarterback's got a broken hand. They got a 7 defense. Texas doesn't have a quarterback with the 12 defense. So your free play is go under. This at the moment it's 42.5, under 48.5. I've already bet it at 56.5. Again, I'm going to make my moves as I see them on Sunday night. They were 56. I had to get it in, and now it went down to 46 and 42. So just on the site, understand that play. It's an underplay, whatever you're at, but that's what I was at. All right. So look for that to be very low scoring. Just 2 very strong defenses and no quarterbacks. Let's see. Hawaii is 1.5 over Utah State, and I go to this game. This is really the last game, but I didn't have room on my page. And they are a very explosive team, Utah State. This is a very live dog, Utah State, for the midnight game. Wake Forest at 352 to Oregon State. Oregon State's a Z team. Malik Murphy did play last week. He was injured. Wake Forest is a very good team. Lane 3 is nothing. I think that's the only problem is they got to go to Oregon. So they're North Carolina going to Oregon again, but this is more of a night game. Indiana at Oregon again. Indiana going to the West Coast. Oregon, 8.5, 55. They're both A teams, 10 defense and a 12, but I think this will be more high scoring. That's the they put up 100 on Illinois, Indiana. Then they played a closer game with Iowa, but that's at Iowa. Oregon, I don't know that their defense is that strong. It's a 12, but they played Oregon State. They haven't really played anybody. So is the defense really a 12 and a 10? I don't know, but I know their offenses can score. So we saw, okay, Oregon, Penn State was tied at 17, and then they won it 30-28 or something like that. But that's with overtime. But if we go at the end of this, so it was a 34. So let's say it's a 40. The games in Oregon, Indiana's much better than Penn State. I don't know why everybody thinks Penn State's so good. Oh, they're 2,000-yard running back. They're playing 15 games. To get 1,000 yards is not a big deal. The quarterback's a choke. He's never won a big game, so why they're all on this quarterback? All right, Ball State, Western Michigan. Ball State's the Z team. Western is 9.5, 43. They should handle it. They're an under team. They don't score that much, but Ball's a Z. So it's tough because I hate betting the under teams against the Z teams. I prefer the over. App State goes against Georgia State. Georgia State's the Z team with a 41 defense. This is the biggest defense I've seen. Points, giving up points. App State, an E, 26 defense. They're laying 3 and 55. I don't know. I don't love App State without Joey Aguilar, so we'll see. Northwestern goes to Penn State. Now, Penn State has now lost 2 in a row. You lost to Oregon. You lost to UCLA. That was jet lag, we'll assume. Northwestern, an under team with a 17 defense. Penn State, an A with an 18 defense. Penn State, 21 and 48. Northwestern, we know, can't score. Probably an under because Penn State will score. Or do we lay 15 because Penn State's lost 2 games in a row? They're at home, and they will be pissed off, to say the least. So it could be a Penn State play there. Iowa State, 3.5, 51 to Colorado at Colorado. Iowa State, an A team, 18 defense. Colorado, an E team, score about 25, give up 25. I don't know what else to call them. They don't fit in any of the kids. They're not an A team, and they're not an under. Coach Prime's in trouble. Iowa State had some injuries to their cornerbacks, I guess. It's hard to read the injury list and know what's going on. But Iowa State, well coached, laying 3.5. I wish they were the dog here. I'd be a lock. I can't play Colorado here. So I like Iowa State off of the loss. They showed a lot of grit coming back against Cincinnati last week. So we will see. Nebraska plays Maryland. Nebraska, an A team, 16 defense. Maryland's a B with the 13. We don't really know who Maryland is, but they did hang in there with Washington, who's a pretty good team. So Nebraska minus 647. I don't love Nebraska on the road as a favorite, but I don't know who Maryland is yet. Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, the A team. Haynes King, 21 defense. Minus 1455 to a W, a Virginia Tech team. You got to go with Haynes King and the boys at Georgia Tech. Vegas Air Force, over and over. Vegas, 5.5, 68. This will be a high-scoring game. All of a sudden, Air Force has no defense, 37 defense, but they score a lot. Navy and Temple. This is a very good game. Navy's an A team, 20 defense, like their quarterback. Temple is playing much better with the new coach. from Sam Houston. They're an over team. The quarterback, Simon's like 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. 25 defense. I think Navy possibly wins the game, but this should be a good game. Arkansas, Tennessee, 2 overs. Tennessee, 13.5, 69. This game should get to 69, both with 30 defenses. The game's in Tennessee, so Tennessee always plays very good at home. They get the crowd. Something about the orange, I don't know. Joey Aguilar, they're an explosive team with a strong offensive coach. So it's hard to lay points here. 7.5 to Arkansas. Tennessee just doesn't have the defense, as you saw in the Georgia game. You got an 82 in the Georgia game. Look for something similar here. This is definitely an over. Lou Monroe, a Z team against Coastal Carolina, a W. Lou Monroe is actually a road favorite, which I can't imagine. Again, a Z team being a road favorite, that's almost an automatic play on Coastal Carolina. Lou Monroe, 2.5, 43, both 31 defense. Yeah, Coastal Carolina here, home dog to a Z team. Florida against Texas A&M. A&M's a B team. Quarterback's really good. Florida, an under team, finally got a win. 17 defense. We had them under against, Texas, and we won. That was our big lock. And here it's A&M, 7.5, 46.5. At A&M. Florida, will they be flat? Oh, they'll probably play a good game. Although we saw Langway at LSU, and he threw, 6 interceptions. So they can't really bet on Langway on the road. We didn't really bet on him last week. It was more we bet the under. A&M, I'm not, I think they win just with the quarterback. Reed is just too strong for Langway. A little bit of defense shown by A&M. I'm not going under here. Iowa goes to Wisconsin. Iowa, 3.5, 37. 15 defense. Wisconsin, a 20 defense. Probably an under game. 37 again. Though here we go with Iowa and their 29 totals. Kansas, Texas Tech. I'm so torn on this game. I love my Kansas team, but not against Texas Tech, who beat Utah pretty bad, and they did a whoop ass on Houston last week. They're an A team with an 11 defense, and that's what's confusing. Texas Tech always scores 40 a game. This year they're scoring 50, and they have an 11 defense. So it's a nightmare betting against them, and it's a nightmare. Kansas should be able to score on them because they got such a good quarterback in Daniels and a good coach. I just think I think this is probably an over. I think they'll score Texas Tech. I think they'll light up Kansas. And the question is how strong is this 11 defense on Texas Tech? Anyway, Michigan goes to USC. They get fun with the cross the country travel. I know it's a 4-hour flight to LA. Michigan's a B team with the 16 defense. USC's an A team with the 23. I really like the quarterback. They're playing much better. Their defense is much better. The UCLA defensive coordinator is starting to get his players. USC 2.5, 51. USC, I'm just about betting over every week because they are explosive and their defense isn't, it's a 23, not like an Ohio State 5. Ohio State, you can very rarely bet over. It's all unders because the other team's not going to score on them. Here, the other team's going to score. Michigan, their quarterback's average so far. Maybe he gets better next year. Can't read the defense. And, they run the ball a lot. It's the same old Michigan. We're going to run it down your throat. And for some reason, they go for 50, 60-yard runs 2 or 3 times a game. Do I like him as a dog? I don't think so. Uh, it's that jet lag, right? It's the same thing with Penn State. They got to go from Michigan to LA, and Michigan never played well against Pac-10 teams when it was the Pac-10 and the Big Ten. So they'd go to Washington or USC or UCLA back in the Bo days, and they never would win. So I think USC gets the W in a close one. As far as total, I think it's 51. It's hard because Michigan's got this defense and they're going to run it down your throat. But I think once USC starts scoring, I think Anthony Davis is going to show up. Look for USC to win this game. Let's see. Georgia and Auburn, both are B teams, both 18 defense. Georgia 3.5, 46 at Auburn. Auburn with the running quarterback. Georgia just starting to score a little bit more. I mean, you get Georgia plus points. It's always inviting. 46.5, we go under 52.5. But this isn't my Georgia team. This is a team that let up 40 points to Tennessee and then played a 24-21 game with Alabama because they forgot to kick a field goal. So that's a 48 game. So it's scaring me to go under. But Auburn's a pretty, they got the 16 defense. This could be an under game. South Carolina, LSU, Bobby's team, they're both unders. Neither the quarterbacks are not showing up this year. Sellers and Newsmeyer, whatever, neither are there. Both under teams. South Carolina, an 18 defense. And they beat Missouri. They lost to Missouri 29-20. So they played a 49 with Missouri, who's got a much better offense than LSU. It's at LSU with the 12 defense. So I think you bet LSU's defense here. Hard to lay the points, 9.5 down to 3.5 because you can't trust LSU to score. I think that's also an under game. I think Georgia, Auburn, you can probably go under, but LSU, South Carolina, you can definitely go under. BYU, Arizona, 2 A teams going. At Arizona, BYU favored 2.5, 47.5. I can't get a break. I want BYU as the dog. 12 defense, Arizona 15. This is probably, I thought it was an under game last week, and they played 100 points, so I don't know what to do here. Maybe take BYU plus 3.5. Arizona's pretty good, but got their ass kicked by Iowa State. Good game here. Utah goes at home against Arizona State. Utah 5.5, 48.5. Arizona State, a B team with the 21 defense, good quarterback. Utah with a great quarterback, Dampier, an A team with the 15 defense. The better offense, Utah, better defense, Utah, better coach, Utah. They're just missing Cam Rising. He's still out. 5.5, 48.5. Yeah, I think you got to take Utah at home just to win, but it's hard because Arizona State's a good team. I'm not really sure there. Maybe I go total because I hate to take Utah to win. This is not an easy win, Arizona State. 48.5. I don't know. That's why they call it gambling, right? So that's where we're at. So we got a lot of good games. Some we really got to think about. I hate these Friday games. I keep losing the Friday game. It's insanity. So I don't want to play them, or I'm gonna like the Houston game was a lie. I didn't make that mistake. I took BYU under with their 10 defense, and they gave up points. It was all turnovers. See, that's the problem on the game. It's like yesterday. Mahomes throws a 98-yard pick six. When's the last time Mahomes did that? Was that scripted? Maybe. But that's how KC loses, and that's how Jacksonville wins. So if you really study that, you go, Jacksonville should have lost by 10 points. And KC's playing well, and so we'll see. So again, a very rare double. Well, it's actually a very rare triple. You actually have Kansas City, Buffalo, and Baltimore all off of a loss. Now, Baltimore, we got injuries, but KC and Buffalo, we don't. We got Kelsey out to lunch, and we got Josh Allen, who's out to lunch. Oh, who do we have off of a loss here? Well, let's see. We know we got Penn State. We'll just look at big teams. Penn State, Michigan State, but I'm not going to bet them because they're off a loss. Alabama beat Vandy, but I don't even see Vandy on the card today. I watched that game. Vandy played it good. All I saw is a bunch of Alabama field goals, but they didn't show all the plays. So you're like, oh, I guess Vandy held them. So you can't really get the gist of Vandy's defense, just the fact they kicked the field goals. But yeah, Vandy played them well. Cincinnati won. Florida State's off of a loss to Miami. So we got, let's see, Florida State off a loss, Penn State off a loss. Texas is off a loss to Florida. Boise's off a loss to Notre Dame. They get New Mexico at home, laying 16-61. Georgia beat Kentucky. Michigan, USC or not. Texas Tech. Kansas won. Wisconsin, I don't care if they're off of a loss. Florida won. A&M won. Tennessee won. Arkansas might be off a loss, but we don't care. The Air Force is off a loss, but we don't care. Iowa State is off of a loss against Colorado. They got a great coach. Penn State. And Indy and Oregon are not off of losses. All right, so we got a pretty good field. We've gone through the Z team. So let's go through the A versus A games, the Tease the Dog games. Friday night, South Florida, North Texas. Tease the Dog. South Florida's won at North Texas. Ohio State, Illinois is A versus B. So you're really not looking to take Illinois as a dog there. Alabama, Missouri, A versus A from what I got. You've got Pitt against Florida State. Again, is Pitt really an A team? I'd say Florida State is. Oklahoma, Texas is not A versus A. It's A versus under. Arch Manning. Indy, Oregon, that's A versus A. Oregon, 8.5, 55. You get Indiana at 14.5. Probably a pretty good move. Let's see. Over games. There's Air Force in Vegas is an over game. Arkansas, Tennessee is an over game. UAB, Florida Atlantic's an over game. Texas Tech, Kansas. Kansas is kind of a B team. Texas Tech's an A. USC, Michigan. USC's an A. Michigan, I got as a B. They don't score enough. So in college, I'm looking for teams that put up about 35 and they got a 16 defense. So they don't just score that much. So I call them a B. USC's putting in the 40s with the 23 defense. So they're kind of an A, but they're kind of, it's probably B versus B here. Georgia Auburn, basically B versus B. BYU Arizona, A versus A. And that's it. That's why we rank the team. How else are you going to know what to do with them? So that's the key to it. All right, so that's college football. I'm getting upset trying to find injuries, right? You know, I'm not. I don't. I go to covers, and it lists 20 guys injured, and I don't know who's the starters and who's the bench players, and who's a key player. I don't know that. I only know quarterbacks. But if I see 10 guards, I'm looking at on covers, 4 guards are out. Well, are these starters? Then there's 2 others. How many guards do they carry? 15 guards? I don't know. Can the tackle play guard? So you really don't know. I think that's why I look at the outcome more than anything, and the points is to try to get the gist. Did the injuries hurt or not? So we always look at quarterbacks. So I know if the quarterback's out, like on Syracuse, the quarterback, I think he's got an Achilles, he's out. You don't have to worry about Syracuse's quarterback coming in. The question is, how good's the backup? Is he Cam Rising or Joey Rising? So we will see. So that's it. The pros, again, very strange Kansas City game yesterday. Don't know what to say. Let's look at our gold and silver, our favorite topic. It got the 39.90, and then it took a little. This is about 11.30 drop. That's why you never know. Did I make it past 10? But still 39.64. You can see it's bullshit. Silver taking a drop from 40. I have no idea why. Nothing makes sense. It's COMEX. It's a game. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's not real. Nobody sold $1 worth of silver, and nobody sold gold's up $12. It's just because it went up yesterday. They do these option shorts based because the price is high. It's just the way COMEX is. It's all fake. So yeah, don't start selling your gold or silver because of these prices. These are fake prices. So 39.64. We're hoping to see 4,000 today. Now that's going to be a big thing because will the news cover that? Because when gold goes to 4,000, that's a huge news story. But they don't want to tell you to buy gold. They want you in stock market. That's where they make the money. So keep that in mind. Any short is going to be jumped on because you got China and Russia going, we'll take it at that price. That's a good price to take. So we will see. But not worried about it. So 39.65. Today's what, Tuesday? So by Friday it should be over 4,000, I would think. It's very close. I mean, it was 39.90. Silver breaking 50. So we got 2 very big milestones here. We got silver about to break 50 on its way to 100, and we got gold about to break 4,000 on its way to 5,000. And those are pretty big psychological numbers to break. Silver is going to be held a little bit, but once it breaks the 50, it's 100. And but then everybody jumps into it. And that's what the government doesn't want, because then you've got freedom. You're free. Nobody knows you have it. We all know the value. And that's what you get with gold and silver. So that's that's why you own it. They can't even this is just bullshit. And you can see it doesn't last for long. I mean, 39.66, it was doing the dance at 3,600. Remember, like the whole summer, it was sitting at 36 something, 35 something. And then boom, it broke. And now we're in the 39s. And it'll just keep this whole fourth quarter. We'll watch it go. The stock market is total bullshit. It's certainly not worth what it appears to be. The stock market at 46,000. What are you kidding me? We got tariffs. We got tariffs. We got debt. We've got a recession. Sorry about that. We got a recession. Why would the stock market be going up? Now, this is mostly foreigners trying to get out of their euros or Swiss francs or British pounds, going into dollars, because for some reason they still think the dollar has value, and it doesn't. So that's why it'll crash, because the people, and they're probably the big pension funds and stuff like that, who kind of have to put their money somewhere, so they put it into these big stocks. I think it's mostly, it's not guys with 100 shares. It's pension funds and governments that are looking for safe havens, who are too stupid to buy gold, where they can't buy gold. Some of these pension places can't buy gold. So you can't buy physical. So they buy ETFs, but ETFs is a Ponzi, so they're in big trouble with that. But that's what you're doing. 39.68. Here it comes back up. And we will see. So anyway, let's see. So all Mark McGuire did was tell us how China's doing, the pricing and everything else. I like these Roman things. They were showing this thing on the Roman Empire, how they like built a building. So let's take a look. How were Roman roads built?
First, the land was cleared of vegetation and the soil was drained. Once the route was chosen, a trench several meters wide was dug, with stone curbs placed along the edges to define the road. Construction continued in layers to ensure both strength and drainage. At the bottom, large stones arranged to let water pass through. Above that, smaller rocks to fill gaps and compact the base. Finally, a layer of gravel or sand was spread on top, then compacted using water, hand tampers, and heavy stone rollers. This basic surface was cheaper to maintain and better suited for carts and animals. The roads were slightly curved, so rainwater could run off to the sides, where deep ditches were dug. These ditches helped drain water and also acted as barriers against unauthorized vehicles. Despite the popular image, most Roman roads weren't paved with stone slabs. Those were mainly used in cities, high-traffic areas, or where erosion was a problem. Roman roads were typically straight. These direct lines allowed troops to move fast across the empire. In fact, road construction was often carried out by Roman soldiers themselves. Incredibly, over 2,000 years later, many of these ancient highways are still standing. How were Roman roads built?
Boy, if only we could have Roman roads down. It'd be so much better. So I'll see if I can find that one. Well, we saw how they purified the water. I still got to watch this one. Chew on 2 cloves on an empty stomach. Doctors are speechless. I don't know what uh, cloves taste like, so I don't know if I want to be chewing on one. But they're a spice I get. We saw how the Romans purified the water. The anchor of time is gold as the well. We know that. We don't, mix castor oil and cloves. So castor oil is really the key here. Let's see. So this war, Russia's ready to win. Russia's won. It's just there's the Ukraine have no soldiers left. Any of the people are just fleeing instead of getting killed, and Russia's just going through, and there's really no defense. And it's very frustrating because they want to end the war, and there's nobody to negotiate with. So it's really stupid, and Russia just keeps bombing the hell out of the Ukraine now, and that basically it's incredibly stupid. I think a lot of it is because we've totally ruined our money, and so the money has no value. So they do a war to distract you. The Romans used to do the Colosseum. That's where they had the gladiators. Was a distraction of how bad things were getting there. So it's keep the mob entertained. And today they do it with football and all the sports, some movies. It keeps us entertained while the government screws all the money up. And I think a lot of these wars are, we don't want the gold back currency. They don't want the gold standard. And so what they did with Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi was they killed them, but they can't kill Putin and Xi and the BRICS people. So they're coming together saying you can't kill all of us. And the U.S. is, we'll sanction you, we'll do this, but it's too late. That's why the gold, and you can see the gold price moving up and up and up, and it's just going to keep moving up and up and up. It's a weird scenario because normally things get like you buy Apple stock or Nvidia or any of these AI stocks, and they go up, and then they're real pricey because there's a measuring stick in stocks that you measure against the financial statements. So you can say the company's worth X because of what the stocks, because if their profit is 10, their stock shouldn't be more than 20. And so you can measure the PE ratio, the price to earnings in a company, but you can't do it in gold and stuff like that, or Bitcoin. You can't really measure, there's no earnings. So with gold, you're just measuring, it's really get out of the dollar, right? The dollar's worthless, get into gold. So it doesn't matter the gold price. Where you really need a price is the dollar, where you would see that this is worth 1 cent. And if you saw this worth 1 cent, nobody would own it. And it's slowly becoming where people are realizing it's worth 1 cent, and that's where they're going. So that's where they're at with it. So is this the end of the war? Yeah, but I think it's mostly because of the gold standard that's coming from China and Russia. And that's really the key to it. So they're trying to do the wars to get you to, well, we got that, but if we sell our missiles, that's what we can make money. We'll have a war, we'll sell the defense contractors, and that'll get us out of debt. Well, it won't. Government spending is not the answer because it's got to be the economy based on income. It's got to be selling iPhones and selling, avocados that get you out of a recession, not, well, we'll make roads and that'll get us out of the recession. Or we'll sell defense, we'll sell weapons, that'll get us out of the recession. No, it won't. It's got to be because it's got to be based on the economy, and that's not what you're doing. You're doing road construction is not get you out of anything. It just causes a lot of bullshit driving, and if they build dams or whatever the government spends is not based on revenue. There's no income there. So that's the key to it because they don't produce. Okay, you've done the road, but there's no benefit in it. You didn't get revenue from the road, right? So all you did was spend money to build the road. You didn't get revenue from it. That's why government spending doesn't work, and it can never work. It's got to be the market. You're selling golf clubs, you're making profit. You're selling bowling balls, you're selling yellow shirts. That's how you make profit. And then they hire people, and then they buy things, and it's just a big domino effect. But that's not what's happening. Big recession. All right. Anything else? No, I don't think so. All right, let's look at our gold. So you can see it's kicking back 39.71. So this is the problem with options. It goes down from 39.90. It hits an option at 39.65, and then it's back to 39.71. So you're going, what the fuck happened that drove this down? Because it's all options. It's just paper. It's not people selling 47.65 silver. Okay, it's down $1. Why? No reason. Just options. And that's really the problem with it. So we're hoping that silver finally hits 50, finally gets to 100. And in the meantime, gold's doing its dance. Now we know it's not a real price. The physical price of gold and silver is 10 times higher than what it is. So 39.71 is really probably 39,710 would probably be my guess for the real price of gold, and silver 400 and about $500 now going to 1,000. Again, it's all the demand raising the price. It's very simple, but most people try to, well, there's so many dollars. Like Reichert, there's so many dollars and so many ounces, so it should be this price. No, because they keep printing dollars, you idiot. Every time they print dollars, there's more dollars, so you got to keep raising your price. That's why it's got to be the market that prices it. Anyway, I guess that's about it. So www.teaserking.com. I got to run to the library to swim. I got to print out more of my pages. I'm on my last. This will be my last one next week, so I want to make another 10 or so. I mean, I don't have a printer anymore. When I moved back from Alabama, there was no point in taking a printer, and normally you just use the printer at work to get that. And that's about it. So have a good day, everybody. Questions, comments, you can reach me, teaserking.com. On the homepage is my email, and please feel free to email me. Anyway, that's about it. So have a good day. I will see you tomorrow. We will update. Well, pros are updated. I got to update my sheet. And again, you're looking for team types. So you're trying to sort of what they're doing with power rankings, but I think my way is better. And it's just you're looking for the certain type of team. What you're trying to do is say, well, let's see, Kansas City's playing Jacksonville. Can Kansas City move the ball? Yeah, all day. Can Jacksonville move the ball on KC? Well, they shouldn't have been able to, but they did a little bit. And then you look at this week and you go, well, is KC going to move on Detroit? Absolutely. Will Jacksonville move on whoever they play? And that's really, who does Jacksonville play? Seattle. Are they going to move the ball on Seattle? Well, they might, but Seattle should move the ball. Based on watching Mahomes move the ball, Seattle should move the ball. So you're just trying to, and if they can each move on each other, it's probably an over game. If they the real stout defense, the Philadelphia's, you're probably not going to score a lot on them. So keep that in mind. All right. So have a good day then. www.teaserking.com. All right. Thank you very much. Enjoy.